10 years since you were interviewed on British television.
Yes, it was in a studio. The last time I was interviewed was by a young disc jockey, remarkably like you. It was your program, too.
On the old radio?
Yes, absolutely, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That was the very last time.
Well, you've worn a lot of hats in the meantime, and indeed before that. What are you most recognised for in Britain now?
Oh, in Britain it would have to be the Carry On films.
How long ago did you make the last one?
About 15 to 20 years ago. I get little kids in the street. They my God, look, I saw you last night on television. And of course, in America, the Carry-Ons have become a sort of cult film in America, but only to insomniacs. You know, at 4 a.m. you can watch the Carry-On films, and I often meet sleepy-eyed people in the street saying, "Hey, man, you're that guy." They're the only people who recognize me.
You watch them yourself now?
No, but I have them all on tape, you know, because I think it was a marvelous period of English cinema that we captured. It was a period of English humour that we had to, you know, in the past 100 years, we've never been able to do that until television or film. But yes, put it in the archives. It was a marvellous moment of English comedic history.
Yes, and it's the kind of thing that goes, it's the kind of thing they think of in America as British humour, isn't it? Rather like Benny Hill. It's got knockabout and knickers and all that kind of stuff.
That's right. Yes. Crude, but why not? Yes.
You were a pop star before even Cliff Richard, weren't you? Remember 6-5 Special and all those things?
Actually, long before Cliff, we were doing 6-5 Special, and they were holding auditions, and a young boy came along and he had sideboards down here, and he sang a song, and Dennis Main Wilson, the producer, said to me, "What do you think of him?" I said, "Well, it sounds a lot like Elvis Presley." He said, "Right, son, who are you?" He said, "Cliff Richard." He said, "Right, thank you, no more, off you go. Next one, please." And so, poor Cliff was actually sacked before he even got his first job for the BBC.
Whatever happened to him?
I don't know. He aged very well.
Does he speak to you now?
Oh, he does, yeah.
That's good.
When we
That's good. Do you ever meet ladies of a certain vintage who used to scream at you in the 50s?
Yes, but they're, you know, much older now. "Oh, I remember you when I was at school."
That's right. It makes you feel good, that.
It does, but no, I don't meet many of them these days, not over here.
You actually started as a stand-up comic. Did you ever play the old Shepherd's Bush Empire here?
I was on a bill here with a wonderful old comedian called Max Miller.
Yeah.
And I actually did a comedy...
Cheeky chappie.
The cheeky chappie, yes. I did a comedy act here as Jim Smith, and I was just about to join the Royal Air Force, and I thought I'll do a comedy act where I'm called up on the stage. So I had two men dressed as police officers, airmen police officers, and they arrested me on the stage for not reporting to Padgate. And it got a big laugh, me desperately trying to do my act and being marched off. I got to Padgate and they were waiting for me, and they said, out of all the 1,800 new recruits, anybody's name here's Smith? And of course 100 stood up. It was Jim Smith, and the 99 sat down, and he said, "Yes, Stu, come out here, lad, and stand on that table." And I stood on, and he said to the crowd, he said, "We don't mind you taking the mickey out of the RAF, you know, we all do it in our own way, but when you've got the gall to do it in front of 3 or 4 million people, that's going a little too far, isn't it, lad?" And instead of 8 weeks training, I stayed at Padgate training camp for 14 months.
That'd be terrible. But it prepared you for the challenges of future life.
That was the best thing that could have happened, because in those days they needed camp shows every other week. And, you know, I spent my time producing camp shows with maybe a chorus line of boys who had been farmers and coal miners. Now they were dressed as women's costume doing La Cage aux Folles. It was type of shows, you know.
So private on parade stuff.
Yes, it was wonderful. Really.
From a pop star, then you seem to make a leap to be a Shakespearean actor. They tell me that, you're partly expressing, your bottom was something to remark about.
Oh, my bottom was my best part, I think, yes. It was... I was doing it with Cleo Lane. She was playing Titania at the assembly rooms at the Edinburgh Festival. And I had this head. It was a wonderful ass's head. And I used to come off the stage, and I had about 30 seconds to put it on and then go on the stage again and go, like that. Frank Dunlop, the director, had a marvellous idea, and he thought he would get about 24 basset hounds and a hunter to come down the aisles blowing up for the woodland scene with the lovers. And he did this, and 24 basset hounds came racing down. We'd never seen these dogs before, and they bounded on the stage, they sniffed around me, and they all went off the stage to the hunter's horn, and there was my ass's head. And all of them sniffed it. and all of them cocked their leg, and all of them did it. On my ass's head. Not one, but 24 of them. Now, I come off, I've got 30 seconds. I said, how's it going? Fine. Just pick the ass's head up. I thought, it's dripping. What's wrong with it? Put it on. Pow! I just, what is this? Then the stage manager said, I've got some powder, love. It'll be all right. Powder.
Very nice.
And she's doing that with the powder, and the top came off. All the powder went in, unbeknown to me, because I'm, well, I said, come on. I put the ass's head on, walked out, and went, and a cloud of powder came out that was about 30 foot long. It brought the house down.
Yes.
It brought the house down. Yeah. So that was my experience.
Your big success was when you moved to Broadway with Scapino, the musical version of Moliere's Scapino.
That's right.
That was an enormous success, wasn't it? We over here don't realize the enormous amount of success you've had on Broadway. It was Scapino first, and then Barnum.
Yes.
The thing that Michael Crawford is associated with here.
Yes.
You actually started, you initiated that part, didn't you?
That's right, yes. When we got the actual script part, it was just very basic. He walks on and he climbs up to visit his wife. And things like this. So I realized that there needed to be more movement in it, and I thought, well, here's my chance to do or instigate something that could possibly be the most exhausting role ever. I didn't realize it would be. And so I started suggesting things, tightropes, this, that, and the other. And I knew very well that if I couldn't do it within 10 weeks of rehearsal, we could easily change it, and I could walk across and climb up. But if I did do it, then it meant I had to do it every night, and the trampoline work. So you had to be exceedingly fit to do it. And 2 years of that can really knock you out. Ask Michael.
How long did it take you to learn the old high wire act?
Well, it took me about 10 weeks, I suppose. It took Michael about 10. It took all of us. But the stage, I've been explaining this, that on a 34-foot tightrope, there comes a time when everybody's had a go on it. Not only the cast, and they can walk it eventually over the months, but the stagehands. And I can remember seeing these big American stagehands, not with ballet shoes being all belated, but with big boots on, walking 34 feet across the tightrope.
So anybody can walk a tightrope after 10 weeks?
Yes, the first thing you learn is how to fall off it, but eventually you can stay on it. Yeah.
So what are you doing while you're here?
Oh, it's been marvelous because I visit the boys and my relatives over here as much as possible, and this particular time I'm lucky enough you've got this marvelous exhibition. It's Fine Arts and Antiques exhibition at Olympia. That is my favorite because it's like one giant fun fair, and I love antiques, and I've been collecting for years, and so I came over to go to see some very old friends there, a lot of the dealers, not dealers who sell things for 100,000. I mean, there are people there with stuff for sale for £5, you know, and you can go and just choose and pick. Maybe find something you've got in the attic and it's worth a lot of money, or maybe find something that can start you collecting, you know. But it's a wonderful hobby. You meet a lot of new people, like the dealers.
Yeah. So you're going to go back to Broadway again? Are you going to open anything new?
Yes, the last thing was Joe Egg. The results of Joe Egg were so successful, you know, artistically, that I've been asked to do so. If I tell it now, it's bound to fall through, you know, I always do. So when it's signed, sealed, and delivered, I'll drop you a note. But yes, it's to do with Broadway, and it's to do with next season on Broadway.
So we wish you luck, continued success.
Thank you very much.
Jim Dale.
Thank you.